Hello, comrades. My name is César. I am speaking on behalf of Workers' Voice, La Voz de los Trabajadores. We are a revolutionary socialist organization based in California. We are the US section of the International Workers' League, and we're affiliated with the RSN. As we commemorate the anniversary of the Kent State Massacre and the spectacular student strike that it triggered, we just want to make a couple of points to share of our analysis. The first one is that the 1970 strike did not come out of nowhere. The Kent State Massacre was really the straw that broke the camel's back. 1970 really represented the peak of a wave of working class struggles that had been accumulating throughout the 1960s. This included the Civil Rights Movement, the Black Power Movement, the Third World Liberation Front, and of course the anti-war movement, among many other independent working class mobilizations during that era. And so the strike of that magnitude, which mobilized 4 million students in dozens of campuses throughout the country, was made possible because there had been a radical shift in the consciousness of millions of Americans, especially young people, that realized that in order to end the Vietnam War, they needed to take matters into their own hands. That playing the lesser evil game did not work, that waiting for the state to solve the situation was not going to work. And that consciousness shift, that radicalization, was built through an accumulation of working class struggles. It wasn't built by playing electoralism games. It wasn't built through propaganda work alone. There was a generation of radical that had basically given up illusions in the electoral game. For many of these young people, the experience of electing Lyndon Johnson, which was supposed to be the anti-war candidate, who of course massively increased US involvement and atrocities in the Vietnam War, was a very radicalizing moment. It was understanding that the state that was sending American troops to kill and die in Vietnam to defend US capital was the same state that was now killing students for protesting that war on US campuses. So again, one of the key lessons for us is that to build up to strike activity of that scale, there's no shortcut, but to continue to build and mobilize the working class in independent struggles. The power of the mass strike was revealed in the 1970 student strike, but there was also a missed opportunity because the strike did not connect with the labor movement. It did not translate into a labor strike, which would have had much greater structural power and potentially ended the work in 1970 as opposed to 1975. There are many reasons why this, link between the student movement and the labor movement did not happen, but one of the key ones for us, is that the revolutionary socialist movement was not strong enough to be in a position to lead the student strike and to channel it into an alliance with labor that would have opened greater revolutionary possibilities. And so right now in 2020, we find ourselves in another critical historical moment where there's an ascendance of struggles throughout the world. We saw a general strike in France, amazing democracy movement in Hong Kong, the uprising in Lebanon, a national strike in Colombia that was historic, and of course the revolutionary situation in Chile, where our party is very actively intervening. And again, in Chile you see the youth and students playing a fundamental role. They have been the most militant, they have been the most active, but we see again a strategic limitation in that labor has not been as active as the youth and the protests that have happened in the cities. There hasn't been a wave of strikes in the scale necessary to bring down the government of Sebastián Piñera in Chile. Here in the United States, we're also in the midst of an ascendance of struggles that has been accumulating for quite a while. The last couple of years have seen the greatest strike action in the United States in the last 3 decades or so. And this has included the student movement. In the UC system, There has been a wave of strikes in the last few months, starting with a wildcat strike at UC Santa Cruz that has spread to many other UC campuses. This has been a struggle where our party has been intervening very actively. So in this accumulation of struggles, the left and the socialist movement is also facing sort of two different paths. There are two different models for how to channel this accumulation of struggles that we're experiencing right now. The first one is an electoralist one, a reformist one, where the emphasis, the center of gravity is on getting progressives elected through the Democratic Party ballot. And the alternative, the revolutionary one, is a strategy where the undisputed center of gravity is in those independent, militant, self-organized struggles of the working class, like the ones that built the consciousness shifts that made the 1970 strike possible. We are, of course, committed to build the militant revolutionary strategy, and we think that the best way to honor the martyrs of the Kent State Massacre and to carry the legacy of the 1970 student strike forward is to build the revolutionary socialist movement today, to take it to a place where it can play a decisive role in channeling the current struggles of the working class in revolutionary and radical directions. This is the work that we are committed to do and that our comrades in the Revolutionary Socialist Network are committed to doing. And so we salute you and we are happy to continue this struggle together. Solidarity forever.